three illusions of self in the path of non-self. And I want to start with the nature of the world, which I've talked quite a fair bit in my last talk. The way we see the world is the visual world. It's just through two little images at the back of the retina. And from there, the mind creates a three-dimensional space filled with things. We have experienced this sort of thing before in our dreams, you're in the world, in a dream. Everything looks very real. So what we have here is a three-dimensional world that's created by the mind with just two visual images. And you can call it a waking dream if you want. Whatever that we see outside in the world is something we have projected onto that object. Right? We don't really know what that object is, because all we have is something that we see. Visual images, pixels of light, that's all. That's all there is to it. Alright? And you make something out of it. Maybe we go there and touch it, it feels a bit solid. Right? That's about all we know. Right? It's solid. And it has shapes. It has colors. Right? And not all the colors, we have a spectrum of colors. There are things that we know that are called ultraviolet. There are things that are infrared, which you can't see. And suppose we are able to see infrared, right? The nighttime that we have would be different. It'd be glowing with people, you can see people walking about in the night, the car engines is hot. So the world is different. If you can see infrared or you can see ultraviolet, the world will be different as well. And I've mentioned before, I've got a friend who suffered from a color blindness. And he told me that he sees that the grass is orange in color, right? Well, I have to believe in orange in color, I don't know how he sees it, but that's the way that's the way he sees things, and we come to different sort of insects. They will see the world differently, right? But they know how to interpret their world, however they see it. Like bats creates the world just using sonar, reflected sound. And they live in this world as well as we do, because they adapt to it. That is their world. They know no other world, right? With dogs as well, their world is full of sense. They know who has come into this room yesterday, how many people, who they are, they can identify. We can't do that. We don't know. That's our senses. Our visual sense is something which you use quite a lot. If we give our senses to the dog, they won't be able to understand anything. Or we have the senses of the dog, we won't be able to interpret the world. Right? So everything that we see in the world is something that is created by the mind. And everything I would call the thing that's created by the mind as an authenticate. We identify, we know what the image is. Then we start putting attributes to it, feelings, and then we put the history into it, you know, and all these things into it. And identity takes. They don't grow, right? If you see a tree, many years ago we remember the tree, but next time we come to see it, it's different, it's grown, right? So all the identity that we have in the world is fixed. In creating this world of identity, we depend on our perception. Now, our perception is depend on the mind that make up the perception. Right? We may see something out there, but we make it up differently. And also our mind has a particular way of making things up. One of the best examples I have is, we all know, like optical illusions. Just example, I have a picture here of an optical illusion. So when you see this, we all have seen it before. You see a two triangle, right? But actually, you have all this little semicircles, triangles, all these band shapes, On our mind, you will see there's two triangles, one on top of the other. We like to see that, we make it up, right? We like to make something more out of it, right? It's not good just to see these 6 little pictures on it, We want a 3-dimension thing of it, right? And we appreciate it, right? There's something more to it, it's mystical, right? So another good example is this picture, very famous picture, right? Most of you have seen it. You can either see an old woman or a young woman, right? If you see this as a mouth, then you see an old woman, right? If you see this as an eye of a young woman, right? Then you see a young woman. That is the chin of a young woman, right? And that is a nose of an old woman, right? So you can make it up whichever way you want, right? But there are lots of examples, of how we perceive things. 3 illusions of self comes from the illusion of perception, the illusion of thought, thinking, and the illusion of views. Now, in this example, we can say, well, we perceive something. Now, if we make this up as a nose, we start thinking, well, that's the nose, that's the feather, that's the chin, and that's, say, a necklace or something. And we see a young woman, right? And we say that, well, that's a nose, that's the nostril of an old woman, and that's the mouth of an old woman. That all is part of the hair of an old woman, right? From our perception, right? The illusion of this perception, we have this thinking process, right, that continue to make up the picture. And after that, we get a view. Yes, it is a woman. So it is an old woman. No, it is a young woman, depending on how you see it, So once we have this view of what it is, right, that view further changes our perception, right? Once you see an old woman for some time, it's difficult to see a young woman again. You've got to change your thought process. You've got to re-identify things, right? Renaming things, right? And see a young woman, right? Well, that's the way how our mind works through this process of seeing things, figuring out what matches to what we know, thinking about it, and then having a view of it. Now we're just talking about something simple here, images, nothing special, just ink on paper, right? And you can make a lot out of it. But in the world as we see it, you can make more things out of it through our thought process. You can evaluate. Well, it's nice, it is not nice, it is good, it's not as good, it's colorful, whatever, lots of things. So we go through this process of seeing things, adding things to it, according to what we hear about it, selecting what we see. Selecting what we like to see, and then magnifying it. Putting attributes to it. Building it up. Liking it, hating it. Right? And then in the end, we have a view of it. That is something in our world. And how does it all relate to self? Well, the process of creating the self follows a similar process. When you're young, you're told, well, when you grow up, well, this is your mother, this is my mother, this is my uncle, so friends, neighbors, so we know people. And this is me, I'm a baby, I'm a child growing up, in all this world. This perception that we are given, the values we are given, these are family, these are friends, these are strangers. Don't have too much to do with them. Alright? So we build up this identity of people. And when this identity, then we have a view on them, right? Have a view on them, So in our world, in the way we communicate, there is always the subject, there's always the object. Right? Like you, me, So we always being conditioned to think in terms of I'm here, you are there, things are outside, I perform things, I experience things, I like things, I dislike things, So all this conditioning. So we come to believe, because this view has become so strong, that becomes a belief, we live in this world. The world out there is real. But I've said before, right, the world outside is a creation of a mind that's projected outside. It's difficult to believe that, right? But if you believe that the mind can create a world in your dream, and you do not know whether you're dreaming or not, and you can feel emotions of fear, of joy, panic, whatever, inside your dream, right? Now, the perception of self is the very basic identity of a person, right? Man, woman, nothing more than that. But when we come to thoughts of self, right, it is more than that. It is the perception, some elaboration, put some emotion in it, like, dislike, likes and dislikes, history into it, right? We can talk a lot about it, We know it, got this attribute, that attribute, Then we have a view of somebody or ourselves, right? Now this view is the firm belief, this self is a firm belief of who we are because of our conditioning, There's this me here, right? With all this attribute, this kind of physical appearance, this light and this light. Now, is this self real? Right? That's the first question. The second question to ask is, what's wrong with having a self? Right? We need a self to live, as we know, we need a self to communicate and all that. And what's wrong with that? Now, what I've talked so far is more on conventional reality, right? What we take as convention to be real, people. Now there is something in Buddhism called ultimate realities, where only certain things we deem to exist. Mind and matter, right? Matter is the body's matter, trees matter. Mind, you can divide it, classify in any way you want to, but the Buddha classified matter, mind, into 4 different aggregates called khandhas. So we have the aggregate of feeling, vedana, aggregate of perception, sanya, aggregate of sankhara, which is mental formation or thinking, and the aggregate of vijnana, which is consciousness. The Buddha divided into four these different aggregates because we can identify with one of the four of them or all four of them, and in looking at all four of them plus matter, we are able to describe person. Now we look at rupa first, matter. Now we have this glass here, right? Is there such a thing as glass? We have a glass. Well, yeah, in conventional reality, yes, we have glass, transparent glass, we have an opaque glass, with a green colored glass, many different glasses. But in ultimate reality, what we have is just concept and matter. Right? The matter is just this material. Concept is the concept of a glass container. Right? Now, if we were to see things in ultimate reality, then we would see matter and concept. Right? The bowl over there is just matter and concept. Right? This table is matter and concept. Right? And you can say, well, we have function, it's matter and concept. They make up things. Now if I break a piece of glass and show it to you, and you say, yeah, there's a little bit of the glass, right? Okay. A bit of transparent glass, a bit of frosted glass, a bit of green glass, right? But frosted glass, glass, transparent glass, they don't act. They are the same. They exist in conventional reality, but in ultimate reality, right? They're just mind and matter. There's no difference. We make the difference. So we get loads of different type of classes, right? Now, we think that a class has essence, right? There's essence. Right? Green glass is different from red glass. The essence is different, right? But the essence of a glass, right, in ultimate reality, it's just matter, right? And if we know a little bit of physics, we know, well, matter is made of atoms, they got electrons, molecules, and they're random, they go about, they changes, and they deteriorate, So matter itself is changing. Right? Okay, 1,000 years from now, you might not have a glass here. Right? Well, glass is pretty durable, but probably 1,000 years you won't have a glass here. So it is the same with the body. Right? Body is made of a concept. Right? A much more complex concept. Right? Much more complex concept regarding things. It would be like a car. Right? A car is a concept. What's in a car? What's a car made of? A car is made of engine, wing mirrors, doors, windshield, wheels, take them apart. They're just things, right? They're just things. Even though a wheel, right, it's just matter and concept, right? If you have matter and just concept, you can have different types of wheel, right? So all this add up become a car. And then we start differentiate. Well, we have a Mercedes-Benz, a Mini Cooper, so we are on different concept, different thing, different attributes to make it more than what it is. So if you break down a car into all its parts, and the part is just concepts and material, right? And then the human body, which is made up all the parts, right? Which is made up of all the parts are made up of concept and material. And in the end, the human body is just concept and material, right? Now we call this a hand. We're happy with this a hand. Well, no, maybe another millennia, because we've been doing a lot of taxing, might grow another thumb here, right? Right, so definition of a hand is different now, still a hand, next hand of the next millennia, 6 times, so we can tax faster. That's it, The concept changes, right? But the ultimate reality is the concept and material, right? The illusion of perception is not so bad. The illusions of thinking is not so bad. The illusions of the thought of self is not so bad. But the illusion of the view of self is problematic. Right? The illusion of perceptions, you see it differently. Illusions of thought of self, we add attributes to it, make it much more than what it is, or make it something we like, or something we dislike, something we hate, something we hate. That's not right. The illusion of the view of self. Not good. Now, if we can see that the body is only concept and matter, then there actually isn't a self. Right? But we still have this firm belief that there is a self, because we identify the self with one of the 5 khandhas, right? It's one of the 5 aggregates, that the body is self, right? Self is in the body. Feeling is self, or the self-feeling. Perception is self, self, it's perception. Consciousness is self, self as consciousness. But I'll try to deal bits of those with the time I've got about. I'll give you an example why having a self causes suffering. But suppose you go into a mobile phone shop, and then they ask to see 2 mobile phones, and have a look at this one. Then someone comes in, have a look, have a look at another one, put it down. He puts it down. Then you take up the mobile phone and have a look. He took the other one, have a look. And then you say, well, I think that one's better. Then he puts it down. I think this one is better. Right? And then say, I'm going to buy this. Right? And you put that mobile phone down. Right? And the other person, say, and then you ask the vendor, say, oh yeah, this is the only one left that we have. It's good, it's very popular. We can't get one anymore until probably after Christmas. So you decide that you want to have that one, right? That's you're going to have that mobile phone for a Christmas present. What will happen, right? And then you start fishing for your wallet, and then the other person picks it up, and then start messing about with it, right? And your whole world changes because you decided that is yours, right? And you start messing with your mobile phone, right? And your whole world changes, right? See? Because you have taken that as belonging to you, right? And because you have taken that as belonging to you, you're all protective of it. He doesn't know. He still plays with it, The more you see he plays with it, the more agitated you become, What has actually changed in the world? What has actually changed in the new world? In the world? Nothing. Nothing. Except the concept that this is my phone and he's messing with it. I can't stand it. Right? Nothing else has changed. Nobody else in the world knows about it. You're suffering in your own world. You created the world. You create an identity, you create a concept, this is mine. Right? And then there might be fist cup after that, And if the other guy says, what's happening there? What happened to him? Get out from the wrong bit of the bed or something like that. Because he identified with that. That's mine. Is it real? Is it sane? Is it normal? Is it madness? That's the suffering. Well, that's a small suffering, right? When we identify with this body, and the body falls sick, and we say this is my body, this is my illness. And if that illness happens to be incurable, then your whole world changes. You suffer. You suffer because you take this body as yours. You suffer because you take the illness that's part of a natural process. Something that happens in nature as yours. Right? And it's the same thing, the mental concept. Right? And we suffer. We suffer because we take it as belonging to us. Simple as that. It's a self, it's something belonging to self. Body changes, I'm old, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, still I'm going to die, that kind of thing. They get worse. Something's happening to me. It's happening to the body, it's happening to me. Things happen because of cause and causes. They are causes. Right? So that's problem itself. It's an illusion. And when you have this elusive belief in the self, you cause yourself unnecessary suffering. That's what the Buddha is trying to teach. Non-self. If you see there is a concept and material, that there is no intrinsic essence in it, that means no essence, then that's the view of non-self. No essence. Non-self, no essence. Concept, just material. And says he hurts my feeling, he does something purposely to hurt my feelings, you know. And we have to learn to ask the question, to whom this feeling belongs to, right? Who is the owner of the feeling? Where does the owner reside? What is the nature of the owner? Nature of the owner can only be one of the 5 khandhas, right? Nature of the owner is one of the 5 khandhas. So if the owner is in the body, is the owner of body? Well, body is just material. Is the owner of feelings? Well, feelings, just feeling that comes, it passes away. So owner perception, well, perception is something we created. So owner mental formation, well, that's something we created. Owner cannot be mental formation. It's the owner consciousness. Well, if we practice a lot of meditation, we will know that the mind is very unstable. Goes about, goes here, goes there, thinks of this. Has its high, has its low. It's quite impossible for a consciousness to be self. Well, you say that the owner feels, you know, well, the owner feels, well, the owner perceives, right? The owner thinks, that's me, that's the owner, you know, feels a thing. But if, say, for example, if you're an owner, if you're a rightful owner of something, you know, if you're a rightful owner of your house, right? Let's say your body is a house. If you're a rightful owner of your house, you can build a house in any way you want. Right? If you're an owner, you can build it for 500,000 years. You know? You can have air conditioning in every room, you know. Whatever gizmos that you want, you can have in your room. You're the real owner. Right? But we are not the owner of our feelings because we can't control it. Right? We think we are the owner. Right? We think that way because when we're young, we've been told you're responsible for it. You did that. You did this. You know, if you're responsible, it's me who's doing this. You know, me who's doing all this bad thing. Me doing all this good thing. Oh. So we are not the owner of our feelings, or perception, or consciousness, or body. Perception. Because we have no control over them. They happen due to one thing, due to contact. Depending on the object of contact, feeling arises. And the feeling that arises depends on our previous conditioning. So the feeling that arises is not something you can control. It's already conditioned. Right? In Buddhism, we have something called action and resultant. Feeling is resultant, vipakkha, resultant. Resultant of previous conditioning. Depending on contact, feeling arises. Contact with an object. feeling arises. And that's dependent origination. That's what the Buddha taught. Dependent origination. Dependent origination is everything. Right? We feel because we have contact with an object we don't like. Object we don't like is conditioning by our previous perception. We make it up. Right? So we can change of object we like or people we like and don't like, depending, on what we put into it. What we think about it, how we think about it, what attribute we put into it. So the way to break this illusion of a view of self is by understanding the process of experience. By understanding the process of action. We do things not because we have the will to do it, but because of also on dependent origination. We want to get up early in the morning, but we can't get up because we're sleepy. We want to sleep. We want to get up, but we can't. The conditioning is not there. Alright? Our attachment to sleep is so strong. Can't get away from it. Someone once asked me, how do you get up? I can't, How do I get up? Oh, I said, you have a strong attachment to sleep. So what you do is find a stronger attachment than sleeping. Buy the best coffee. Alright? Okay, buy the best coffee. Spend money on it. So every time when you wake up, when you're sleeping, think of the coffee. Oh yeah! Wake up. Make your coffee, drink your coffee, and you're up. Right? Nothing to do with you. Has to do with the object, the attachment. Attachment to sleeping. Attachment to coffee, Arabica, 100%, Honey on it as well if you want, make it special. Wake up in the morning. Nothing to do with all of you. It has to do with dependent origination. Object of contact. Right? If your girlfriend says or boyfriend says, meet me at 6 o'clock, well, you definitely wake up at 5 o'clock and get ready to eat, have a shower. No problem with that. Right? 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh no, it's not too early, no problem. Right? You have to go to lectures, you don't like the subject, you don't like the teacher, Do I really have to get up? So we have to understand. We understand that we experience things due to contact. We do things due to contact as well. Aversion, attachment, craving. And we see things in terms of ultimate reality. Right? But there actually is no essence. Everything that we see is made up. Right? Only the visual process. We hear things, because it's not as strong. Our visual process is stronger. We identify things, we see things, and we make things up. And most of the time when it comes to know, it's not, we don't really know. We don't really know. So the important thing to do is, in breaking the view of self, is to find out where, in which of the conduct, in which of the five conduct, in which of the five aggregate that you have created the self, you can attach yourself in it. It's not easy. You need the dependent origination, seeing experiences and action, a dependent origination. To do that, you will always look at the contact that creates the feeling. Right? Every time they say, why do I like this? You know, when you have this feeling, you find out the contact. You know, look at the contact, the object, the contact on the object, and relate the object with the feeling. Right? That is to do away with the experience of I feeling, of I doing. You know, that's one. And the other, to get rid of this feeling of there's this self in me, right? You have the question, where is this self? In which of the five conduct? Have I taken the body to be self? Or have I taken the feelings to be self? Or have I taken self as feeling, you know, feeling something, you know? So you need to sit and investigate and to be able to follow and investigate that, you need to hold on to something that you're investigating quite clearly. For you to be able to do that, you must develop an amount of concentration and mindfulness to be able to hold it and see it clearly. And we start seeing this thing clearly. The heart knows. It's not the mind, it's the heart knows. The heart knows what the truth is. Right? The heart knows dependent origination. The heart knows whether it is attaching to one of the five conduct. It is grasping to one of the five conduct. It's creating a self in the five conduct. There's nothing wrong with five conduct. Five conduct are things from the ultimate reality. It is our grasping at the five conducts. It's our taking the five conducts as self. That's the problem. So we have to look. We have to look where the view exists. Right? We're dealing with views, you know. View of I as an experiencer, view as an I as a performer, view of I as in this body, this feeling, you know, in one of these conduct. Once you're able to see through that, right, and the way to see through that is to see that all things do not have an essence because they change. Right? Change is one of the, it's part of nature. Thing arises and then it passes away. If we manage to see through this view of self, then we make the first breakthrough. Right? You don't have this view of self. The world as you see it changes. Right? Because the world as you see it is mind-made. Right? The physical doesn't change. The physical world follows the law of physics. The way you see the world changes. mind that makes the world. Once you make the breakthrough, your consciousness changes. You see change, right? You either see change or you see time, right? Okay? People see time. When you look at a clock, you say, oh, time is passing by, right? That's only anything changing, and keep changing. You look at the mechanism of the clock, it's all about change, And even in physics, the fundamental physics, the atomic clock is measured by number of, whatever particles is emitted from, I don't know, a particular element, changes, right? And you study physics, then you know that, well, time's not absolute, it depends on the frame of reference, what velocity you're traveling, that's part of that's up to the physicists, So when you have dropped the view of self, you still have to deal with the illusion of the thoughts of self, right? And perception. You haven't got rid of them yet. You're lighter, right? And once you have dropped the view of self, according to according to the Dhamma, the books, the Sutta, it's the Visuddhimagga. Once you attain that first breakthrough, you lose 24 fears. It's quite a lot. I don't know what they are. Well, I did try to find out what they are, but I don't know. 24 fears. That's related to self. That's a lot. 24 fears. No fear. Arahant is the fearless one. Harmless and fearless one. So you have to deal with the self due to thinking and perception. You still have memory of who you are. Well, I was like that, You perceive yourself in a perception when it is kept in, memory is perception kept in memory, stored memory, stored perception, sorry. Memory is stored perception. So you start thinking, oh, I was like that, Then if you remember your practice, then you say, well, that's just a perception of me. I wasn't like that, What I did was due to dependent origination. Right? So once you start doing that, right, all the memories of who you are, what you've done, all regrets, all joys, all suffering, drop away, drop away, drop away. Right? You don't start thinking of self. And the next level, you have the perception of self. You just remain with just the perception of self. Perception of self is perception of self depends on concept and concept and material. When you see somebody, there is first there's the material, the body, and then the shape. And one of the reasons why we take self like this as permanent, right? It's because concept is permanent. Concept don't break down. It's permanent. Concept becomes forever there. Because it encapsulates material which we know is not permanent, right? It can break down. We get this essence which is permanent because of the concept is permanent, right? So we add to that attribute of permanency, it comes from concept onto the self, right? So all self is permanent. because of the concept which is permanent. Even though the feeling is impermanent, even the body is impermanent, but the concept gives that attribute, that flavor. We like things which is good, permanent is good. Good, very good. Of course, it's from concept. We use it, we take it. Perception of self depends on concept. Concept depends on shape. Right? This shape. Like that shape of the bowl. This shape of the bowl. Right? Shape is just concept. Right? It's not real. Right? So if you throw away the shape, right? You have just the material. Right? So at the perception of a delusion of self, you throw away the shape, then you have only the material. And when you see the material, you know it's always arising and passing away. There's no essence. So in that way you see emptiness. It's empty of shape. It's empty of material because material don't last. Arises, passes. Everything in this room arises and passes away at every moment. It's empty. So in one particular moment, say for example, it so happens that we all arise at the same time and we all pass away at the same time. No, this room is pretty empty. Nobody's here. Peaceful. Empty. Nothing. No essence. Right? So when you see things arises and passes away, you can see the emptiness of things. And they're spacious. Nothing to fear. There's nothing out there. You want to scared of something out there. Right? Something arises and passes away. There's nothing real out there. That's the perception of self. Going further, when you have do away with the shape, then you just see the arising and passing away of phenomena. But still one thing remains, self-reference point. I am. Right? Yeah. Okay. Because you are there, I'm here. It's from here that I have this view. Right? Not that view. So I'm facing this way. Right? So that's the last state. You have a reference point. You see yourself. You see everything is empty, but you still have a reference point. And once you do away that reference point, then you're fully enlightened. Well, regarding this reference point, there is that means you've got rid of all the illusions, the three illusions of self. There is a sutta called the Camel Sutta. The Camel Sutta. I think from the Samyutta Nikaya or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember. It's a Camel Sutta. And it talks something about I am. An anagami, a never returner called Kamata. And describe what this feeling of I am is. Though he says there's no self in all the five khandhas, but that's still the feeling of I am. I'll leave that for you to read, And it's slightly different from what I explaining about illusions of self. But you also point to the existence of I am, even though you have already discovered that there's no self in all conduct. Now these three delusions of perception, of thinking, and of view, I've discussed it in terms of self. But these three delusions, right, also applies to change, right? There is change, but we don't see it. Things are changing, but we take them as permanent, right? We see things are satisfactory. In fact, they are unsatisfactory. It's because of these three delusions or illusions that we see it that way. Things are satisfactory. They are unsatisfactory, which is dukkha, change, impermanent, anicca. And then the last one, there are actually four of them. The last one is things are lovely. Actual things are not lovely. And because of these three delusions, we see things as lovely. So what I've talked today is just delusions of self, deal to these three delusions of perception, thought, and view. I think it's the right time to stop.